And we're on for another Monday, folks. How's everybody doing after a joyous weekend? Back for another Harmonic Pattern podcast. Number 118. We're getting up there. Big shout out. Big shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you for showing up and being a part of this group. Phenomenal group. Let's get the business out of the way. HarmonicTrader.com is where you want to get all your Harmonic Pattern resources. Become a basic member, folks. That's how we do it. And really quick, send your username to hpc@sr-analyst.com. Your username for TradingView to get with that program. And then on the basic members page, there's the other information for each of the other platforms. A lot of people are taking advantage of the MetaTrader program, which is excellent for crypto. I recommend that highly. I recommend both platforms. Get a pro and a TradingView, but take the trial first. Have to make an announcement, actually, that we're going to have to shut down those secondary trials. A lot of people taking them, but a lot of people not really following through with them. So I personally think between a TradingView and a MetaTrader trial or one of the HPC pros, you have plenty of time to know what's going on here. So enough on that. No more secondary trials. But if you have questions, reach out to me or Miss Stephanie in the Discord. The Discord link right down here, folks. Click on that to get set up and join us here. And for those that want to book on Thursday, you need to contact Miss Stephanie and send her your address, your postal address, to get the actual book. We'll give away more on Thursday. But let's get to it. You know, the war between Bitcoin and Ethereum. What's going on here? We hit 2K on Ethereum, which is big. I'm showing the total crypto market cap. Look, this thing is grinding higher. This includes Bitcoin and Ethereum, although Ethereum is certainly dominating. Until we get up to target one, that's really that's the business. That's what we're looking for on this reactive move. It's going to take some time, but that's where we're headed across the board. Some, like I said before, not all crypto are created equally. Some, like Ethereum, yeah, I think they're dominating. That's where the money's headed to. We're trying to pop a couple of patterns off the low somewhere around this 2K, but as we talked about last week, we're going for the 382. That's the target, and I'm not going to spend much time on it today other than saying review on Thursday. Let's get the Coinbase or Binance. There's Coinbase, and that has it all right there. Okay, we're looking for the 382 off the top. That's the first target for all of the harmonic reactions. It's like that, 2402 to be exact. And then we'll see what happens. But until we shoot that gap, it's still up. And don't be surprised. The other thing we have talked about is these inside ranges. Inside ranges, get retested. We were here a week ago, and this candle was a bearish candle, ended up being massively bullish with a bullish continuation. Maybe we test inside of this range, like this, just frame it out. 1662 is a far ways away. I'm looking more like, I want to see the continuation. We could have an inside week, what have you, but we're up there where anything above 1940 is strong. Definitely strong. Great to see so many people showing up today. Again, we're here Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 12 noon Eastern. Please hit the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. Hit the like button if you so choose, if you like what you're seeing here. Beyond that, let's talk about what's going to happen here, because Ethereum is dominating. Look at what's going on the indicators here weekly. HSI, Harmonic Strength Index, that's our number one. Still up in the zone, expanding. what we really need to see for this to be a big move, I mean really big move, is we need to continue to make higher highs this week. This is the week. Why? Because we want to see this take out the prior reading. You go all the way back to February 20. That reading was about 120 at the top. And you want to see that blow out the prior reading. That would be a really nice indicator that you're making new progress, price discovery in the indicator, which means the force of this current move is about as strong as we've ever seen. And if you line it up going back, where's the last time that happened? Well, we had this bat pattern. I adjusted, just a quick note, last week I wanted to show the patterns that had developed from a couple years ago. I expanded my number of bars to show that. So just to let everybody know, hit the settings, okay, and go to your bars to process on the weekly. You can go to 500 or 5,000, might cover it all. And that's how, if you're not getting the prior patterns, you have to increase your pattern size, just to let you know that. But look, this is the last reading. That was your highest reading, 120. Okay, and it did, here's the interesting thing. Look, that pushed up and still registered and oversold, but that was the beginning of a new wave, if you will, something, this move here, and I expect it to be something like this, where at least the indicator internally registered something pretty extreme. Check it out. We go back to 2020. All right. This breakout reading is just the starting point. That's the way to think about it. It took out that prior reading, and you go back in history, it took out many of the prior readings, even took out this initial prior reading from 17. Maybe it was right on there. That 17 rating, 121. Real close. That's what we're looking for on this reactive move. We want to see this be a first reaction, push hard, push higher, setting up for something larger again later in the year. We're still reactive phase. Now, we compare this to Bitcoin. Bitcoin not doing so much in terms of price, and the indicator starting to hit overbought on HSI. All right, that's something where little suspect, clearly not doing what Ethereum's doing. We haven't even reached the 50 level, which I think needs to be a minimum on amplified RSI. So your indicator readings, they're not completely there. Getting closer, but still need time. Bitcoin, from a price action perspective, looks like this. You are in a serial move, higher highs, higher lows, which is more important, as we've said, that should continue. And we should at least, look, break it down. This is really the last ditch range of that decline. And we should see some kind of, I think, minimum 886 on Bitcoin of that range. Gets you somewhere around 30. You know, I think this is clawing its way up to like 30 for a big 30 test. If you look at your 382 off the all-time high, you're not even close. Unlike, let me just remove all this. Unlike Ethereum, your 382 on Bitcoin setting up at 37, 38,000. That's crazy, right? What do you say, chat? 38,000 on Bitcoin? Is that insane? Maybe a little bit. We need some more time to get up there, but markets are hanging tough. And that can lag, and let's look at some examples of things that are popping that did lag first, and now they go. Here's a big winner, Chili's, folks. And this is really something where Look, we were targeting 17 something, 1757, now trading over 20. This is your poster child of what can happen on these delayed moves. Chili's is real impressive. What happens when you hit 1757? You blow through it. What's that tell you? Stay with it. Do we have any indicator? No, nothing here. Look at your indicator on Chili's on the daily. Expanding. And not only that, but expanding to try to test some all-time prior readings. You want to see that. You want to see this thing go higher and actually give you an M formation where it hangs up here for several more sessions, if not a week or two. Take note also, this is the beauty of HSI, Harmonic Strength Index. It's nowhere near registering an overbought yet. It's got legs. I'd say 23.5 cents, target 2 on Chili's. That's been a big one. That's definitely doing moves. I'm impressed. Cardano. Cardano has yet to pop, but will follow, in my opinion, what we've seen in Chili's. Couple of daily readings basically put the floor at 45, 46 cents. You're grinding, you're grinding, you're grinding. Every day, every week, you retest the prior range. That's a good thing. We know that the weekly has been bottoming out and you've broken the downtrend. Look, that's important. Now we're getting somewhere on Cardano where you're 6 weeks right of the trend line, which is something we said we wanted to see across the board. So that's, for me, the breakout, the little pop that happened. It was pretty much Saturday night. A lot of these on Saturday night, they popped, and then they did form some 4-hour patterns that were trying to get blown out. Not a surprise. There are a number of good 4-hour setups, but these are pushing now. They're pushing higher, and once they break out and follow through, you're not going to get another shot. It will start moving. And this is where we want to jump. Here's another one, crypto.com. This is the kind of the brother of Chili's. You have a bearish Gartley. I'm going to come back to this in a second. Let's review the big daily. Look at that. I mean, folks, that's textbook stuff. I've been on this since 10, 11 cents. You're now 15. Target 1 is at 30. Tell me about how you feel about Chili's now. And then crypto.com will fall into line. 30.75 cents is target 1. Look at Chili's. Use that as kind of of what can be happening here, this delayed type of deal. Not a problem, but that's where the patience comes in. Absolutely essential to be mindful that this stuff will take time. In some cases, with some of the stuff we've talked about, it could take the rest of the year, especially with these weekly charts. Let's look at some of those currency coins. Here's Aave on the daily, stuck at 115, but look at the weekly. Oh, where was the weekly? No, my fault. No, it wasn't that. It was Zcash. Zcash on daily, weekly. Let me come back to that. Well, I know Zcash on the hourly, this bat pattern, basically $72 is what I'm looking for. Would someone please remind me, what was the big butterfly? It was, why does it escape me? You know, this foggy brain of mine the last couple of weeks has really been annoying. Let's go to this one, LRC. We know we've got big stuff here. This is another one, back-to-back patterns, big pattern on your daily with a little micro pattern back in the zone. I think the weekly check back on there is probably what you really want to use as your primary time frame. Taking its time, making progress. Look, Target 1, and this is what we should be considering. Draw like a 45-degree trend line up to 169 is target 1. And about these trend lines, folks, look, you can't, a lot of people say, oh, well, Scott, you could fudge it. You could make that a 70-degree if you scrunch it. No, come on. Let's not play games. Let's be real. If you're fudging and you got to fix your magnification, you're probably not being true to the chart itself. Look, even if you take it down like that and say, all right, slow and steady, it's going to take several months, but it doesn't change the game. Target 1. Couple more. Decentraland on a daily. Let's get back here. This one in Sandbox. The metaverse. There you go. On the daily metaverse. This is another one where, look, big bat pattern. XA is at 120. We're not out of the zone. The confirmation came in down around 80 cents. We haven't blasted off yet. This and Sandbox are just kind of biding their time until they do a big thrust move like what we saw in Chili's. Yeah, down at the hop level for Sandbox around 109. You're only trading 133. So there's a lot going on there. Another one that we saw that was a serious T coin, toilet coin, is this anchor that actually perfect type 1. Check this out. And I would get ready for the type 2 setting up here. We had a type 1. We were on this, folks, at 2.5 cents, somewhere in there, or even lower. Target 1 was 5.4 cents. Well, it hit 5.8. Gets rejected with a bearish crab pattern. Not a problem. We're still reaction phase. I could see this coming back to retest that crab at about 3.8, 3.7 cents on this move. So you'd have not only the reaction off of the crab where you get down maybe to target 2 at 3.6, but then you're retesting the crab. Then you are in serious business for a much larger move. Type 2 move gets you to 7.25. This is still 4.7. We're not ready for that re-entry yet. If you missed it and you're still long that, maybe take profits next time it hits 5. I expect this thing to take its time. Pattern's complete, so 30 bars, 30 days. Be patient on it. But that's another one to get lined up. I want everyone to get these things lined up. Folks, we're in the middle of this summer. Okay? It was a crappy 6 months. Now these things are scraping out major bottoms after doing 90, 95% corrections. And they're not going out of business. This stuff's, we saw the massive liquidation of brokerages that were over-levered. But in terms of these individual projects as trading vehicles, speculation vehicles, I've said it before, I'll say it again, they're trading like options that go 24/7. As a trader, those are beautiful moves. If you're a little concerned, or you still think like, crypto is worthless, that's fine. Just remember, we're trading reactions. We want to line up type 2 reversals as they come in. This is one of them that will set up. Some are registering early. Others are going to need more time. But look, this stuff is starting to get into a really nice position that even if it comes back on a pullback, that's going to be probably a better opportunity than the first reaction because we'll confirm the lows. We'll have a type 2 set up for most harmonic patterns. And then 2023, everyone's going to be talking about the next halving cycle for Bitcoin. Doesn't matter what it is, they're just going to talk. And people will start throwing money back into the sector, into the space. Stay with me. Here you go. Let's look at... there was a privacy coin. Was it this one? Boy, It was a perfect type 2. What was that type 2? Well, let's go back to Solana. Let's stick with the big boys, actually. Solana on the weekly. Let's get a good one. Good data feed here. That's the one we want, Binance. Solana, I think if you weren't so sure, think about it this way. Let's say you wanted to be in crypto, but you don't want to be with the T coins. You want to stick with the big coins. You know, go with your top 10. Go with your top 30. You guys are right. Jordan, you're right. It was Dash and Numera. XMR. I'll get to those in a second. Thanks, folks. But Solana, here's the big deal that any technician would say that's important. First sign of any major trend is to crack the predominant downtrend. Solana here, beautiful. Confirmation came all the way back at $32. We have just been grinding, but we just come back, retest each weekly range. So don't be surprised if Solana can come back into the low 40s, and I would look for another shot on that. One of these days, this stuff's going to pop hard, and you're going to thrust out of the zone, and you're going to be like, wow, getting it under 50 or under 45 is a steal, especially when target one's 115.30, 115.28. That's how we should consider that. It's difficult. If you don't have experience in this, follow along, play at home, definitely get on top of it, like sharpen it up now. You don't want to be trying to get on top of this game in 30 or 60 days when things are moving hot. We want to be on top now, get your favorite 30 or 50 and just track them every day. We're deep in the hole. I mean, Solana, look, you know, you're still off the all-time high, which was back here at 265. You're at 40 bucks, $45. You tell me. An 80% decline. This market's not going away. It's one of the top vehicles. Money flows back into crypto. It's going to Solana. It's a lot of times money will just flow into the top 10 because they want exposure. I don't know what it's going to be. Fundamentally, I don't know, but if I'm looking technicals, I'm analyzing, lining up harmonic metrics, I know where we are. We are in major development phase where you're out of the hole, you're breaking that downtrend, and then anything that's to the right of that downtrend is money, is a heck of a lot higher probability than you were back on June 21, even though we were in there in June 21. Be mindful of that. Also, any of these that are still lounging around in these lower regions, these nether regions, as they say, just go off your last weekly range, and we're just coming back, retest the last week low, and then develop again. Let's get to those two. Thank you. Dash was it. So Dash, I posted that. Here's Dash USD. Beautiful butterfly. This is another one of these privacy whatevers that could easily click back up to, 135, target one, butterfly. Although this isn't it. Is it a daily type 2? Weekly's beautiful. Daily, check this out. Okay, this is what I like for Dash and a lot of these that we should be aware of. Some of them have on your daily chart formed bearish patterns off the low. I wouldn't necessarily read that as bearish, as more so more time in the zone, and this is going to give you a reaction off of there. Okay, maybe down to 50.88, 50 bucks, 0.88 cents. But this is still a larger development of this crab, here, which is 49. And of course, your next HSI is what I'm looking for. If HSI can wash out, let's say in the next few days on this one, and give us another downside reading, that would be your go. That would be a bigger opportunity than even way back here, June 21. Here's the thing we want to see. And sometimes these patterns can be difficult when you get back to back. You want to respect them. But when you're in a type 1 reaction, what's the thing that happens a lot? We talked about this in Amazon last week. You can get a reaction, but then you blow through on the return for the bearish setup. I'll talk more about this in the days to come as they draw closer, but these have set up in that regard where the bearish return move might turn into the explosion. Yes, sir. XMR. Monero. Wasn't that the type 2? Pretty sure that was the type 2 on the weekly. Come on. I hate fishing through these data feeds. There's such a... It was. You're right. Who was that? Crypto Hoarder, of course. Thank you, my man. This was the type 2 that I was referring to about 5 minutes ago. What do you mean type 2? Type 2, meaning the first test of any harmonic pattern should be treated as a reaction. That's what we have. And then the type 2 return where you come back and retest that area. 135.73 is the number. Now, what do we expect? Well, this one hit the hop level, 111, and then just held like concrete. In fact, did not even get a close under the hop level. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 weeks. That's typical. That's typical type 2 behavior. Now we go and look for target 2. Those are the rules. That's the framework in action. It's a beautiful framework. It gives us a clear objective, and we will analyze as it goes. But look, nothing here on amplified RSI. You just got above the 50 level. You're entering in the zone here on Harmonic Strength Index. All right, I want to see that expand. And I wouldn't be surprised. You're here on Monero. Look at this in the last several weeks, folks. Look at how many times we have retested the prior week's range. Let's look at it bar by bar. This is where that bar by bar analysis, simple candlestick recognition can be extremely helpful. Go here. There's your exhaustion low, stabilization, stabilization, but retest the low. Retest the prior week's, I would say close the main body of the candle. All right, and then third time, bang, there's your breakout. There's your 3-bar breakout. And then follow through on the next week, but you still had body retest. Another one, body retest and go. Body retest and go. So this is a bearish candle, but I'll tell you what, that bearish candle in Monero reminds me a lot of Ethereum a week ago. It's bearish now, but anything above that 172, 175, you get saucer separation from the whole trend and you start to go aggressively. Where, like Chili's, that Chili setup is showing us how this stuff should start to explode. Let's go back. 20 cents. Look, it should explode like this and like that. Big candle, follow through, bang, bang, bang. Just destroying. That's what I want to see in crypto.com. That's what I want to see after Anchor does a retest. And then a few more. Let's look at a couple that I have not looked at in a while, like Bitcoin Cash. It seems like a dud, right? What's here? Anything here? Not much. These are lagging, much like the Bitcoin chart. But here, I think that Bitstamp is not the best exchange, but this is what I was looking for. Weekly hop level. It's ugly on Bitcoin Cash, but take a look. There's the completion of this crab pattern, okay? But you sail right on through the zone, no confirmation until all the way down there. Not the cleanest of reversals, but quite relevant for Bitcoin Cash. Take a look. If that's the trigger point and that came in, what was that? 108, 109, you're 137. You're looking for some development here between 109 and 144. And nothing escapes this as target 1. Target 1 is the number we're looking for. What can we see here? Weekly. Did have a weekly trigger way low. I mean, this is a sloppy one, but it's just taking its time. I'm not so worried about that. HSI is overbought. All right, I'll watch that, but let's see what happens here. Because if we get expansion, let's say this thing pops and it just needs to take out the 3-bar range, 165. That's where the larger move can happen. The other little brother to all of those is Litecoin. And Litecoin, not a biggie, you know? I mean, it's not, this thing has not really done much, but you did have a weekly check back at 51, now trading 61. We are overbought. Look, keep an eye on that development for this. But no pattern. I mean, not like some of these others that had clear patterns. I'm just kind of, I'm looking at that Bitcoin space, and it seems like a lot of these are compartmentalized. You got your Bitcoin group, you got Ethereum and all those layer 2s. You've got the privacy type coins like Monero and Dash. And then you've got, what's the other category? Then you got those kind of utility coins or metaverse coins, really. That's the way I would think about it, really, in those broader categories. The Bitcoin category, kind of lagging. Others, like the layer 2 stuff, like this one, KNC. This was a weekly, come on. Where was that one? Where's the Coinbase feed? It was a weekly, not much here, but weekly check back. 121, now trading 161. On stuff like that, no major pattern. You want to go off of a 4-hour or hourly, something to give you setup. And this was on KNC right now, where this is not a bad position for some kind of high level bat pattern. There's your reaction. Runs right into your HSI indicator to end the reaction. And now 163. I'm looking down here between 160 and 163 for this to set up and launch and continue this uptrend. Nothing on HSI yet, but this could drag out for a few more days and then trigger. Not bad, as they say, not bad. Couple more. Cosmos. Trying to do the same thing as a lot of these. And this one had some things. Go to your weekly. Okay, weekly was a real nice confirmation on HSI. There's Binance feed. I think the daily had there's a butterfly right now. Now check this out. Interesting. I'm watching Cosmos because it's a type 2 butterfly. I'm not jumping on it. I'm not jumping. Haven't done anything with this. But what I want to see is type 1 reaction is done. You're back there for a type 2. Trying to hold up. I would expect this to come back in. And whatever the next HSI signal is, maybe we just come down and do a short type 2. But once we take out these prior highs, I'm real confident that that's your continuation area is above 1250. Let's be mindful of that. It's not there yet. But trying to pop out of that, trying to violate that pattern, that might need like a week. But if you violate these patterns off the low, they start to run and it starts to open up. All right, we got to talk about some real T coins. Probably the T of T coins would be Doge and SHIB. So a lot of you know that the Doge situation was something a lot of us caught, a lot of Harmonic traders back in late 2020, 2021. if you really want to get down on some craziness and see how crazy harmonics can be, we caught that move up to about 60, 62 cents. And remember, that was where SNL, Elon was on, and da-da-da. And look at my Twitter feed from 2021. And I said, I'm out of that. I was out of that before SNL. So look at that. If you really want to see just super home run, grand slam move, that was one of our prime coins, period. But now, what's it doing? It's trying to stick its head out of the downtrend. Look, any of these data feeds, we can stretch that downtrend. You're to the right, and you're 6 weeks to the right. And that is a really great start. Not to mention, with Doge, you had your first 3-bar breakout. Many of you know that 3-bar move where you can violate and get above or just violate a 3-bar range, whatever the direction. And so you go, what's the last 3 bars? 1, 2, 3. What's that prior high right there? About 7.6 cents. Okay, we're not going to explode, but this is where it starts. This is where, if you're not on this, watching this, it's time. It's time to start to get back on the dog. And your daily looks like this. Okay. We do have a deep crab on the daily. How are we going to play this? Well, let's use the pattern, first of all. And let's use this XA range. If we can come back to 6.7, have another retest of that XA, that should be about it. Certainly the next HSI on the bullish side. You're overbought at the moment, and that's okay. I would love to see this thing come back down, and then your launch pad about 1 cent lower to get you going. Something else that I'm going to start talking about more so than I have in a while. Let's look at these initial RSI readings. This is amplified. A lot of them are doing a thrust. There's your June lows. A lot of these have hit an overbought signal, but if you can take out prior readings like that one, or even going a little further back, we had some explosive readings where we try to challenge some of these prior highs. That would tell you there's some force behind the move. Not there yet, but this is a starting point where we look for the pullback. Maybe we could get a full pullback down to that 30 level. It's the next pullback where I'm not going to sleep on Doge. I'm not. And then, of course, its other little brother, SHIB. It's a piece of SHIB. But here's your SHIB. SHIB did an 8 move to 18, but check it out. Okay. SHIB did this thing on that move where, check out your RSI, your amplified RSI reading. Well above a couple of prior peaks. This is a starting point. This is something that tells you that this reaction out of the hole is a little bit more than just some kind of thrust move. If it was a thrust move, it would have hit the overbought and gone back down. Let's be aware of that. Software is trying to generate this blue crab pattern. What is that? That's just a 1618 thrust. This would be a deep crab, but it's something like that. 1902, 1902. Around 17. Let's beware of that. These are first moves, first signals that have caught my eye. I wouldn't, I was not giving SHIB or Doge time of day until maybe Sunday morning when I woke up and saw that development. And plenty of time always. All right, the first move here on SHIB. There's your weekly Coinbase feed, so hey, that's good enough for me. Coinbase feed, breakout 3-bar above 13. 13 hundredths or 13 thousandths. I think that's a 13 thousandth of a cent. Doesn't matter. We're talking proportions, we're talking ratios. And like any of them, the first target across the board, we want to do 382 pops. Just 382 off the top puts you about 39.40, 4,000th of a cent. Yes, squirrely crypto. Exactly. Well stated. He's saying that we want to be aware of the percentage retracement moves, not so much the project narrative. Hey, if you know about the project narrative and it's something you believe in, go for it. But even if you were the insider that developed that project, I would want to be aware of the harmonics, the measurements, the metrics, especially if I was supporting my own crypto. I'll give you folks the perfect example. Hex. Hex had a beautiful deep crab, folks. You know, we know the story about that situation. It's not one I really care to be in, but I want everyone to look at this. Be aware of this is expressing the kind of type 1 development we're seeing in a lot of these T coins. And so, crab pattern, great. Some wind at our back, excellent. Your weekly time frame did have this remarkable HSI weekly signal and check back right there. All of that was around 3.3 cents. It's doubled. Not to mention, it did lose 98% of its value. Okay. Is it going out of business? Probably not. I don't think so. And this is more of how I would frame it out. You're getting to the right of that downtrend. And if you're a hexagon or whatever they call you folks, I would still want to say 382. What's a 382? Off the top, 382 is, 21 cents. And this is something that has expressed a lot of really nice patterns. Remember, we had the bat pattern, but there was a Gartley. Yeah, last time we really talked about this was probably from the bearish side May with that Gartley at 20 cents. And I got a bunch of flack from people on Twitter about that. They're saying I didn't understand the project. I said, well, it's a type 1 reaction at 20 cents anyway you negotiate it, and target 2 was 13.7 and it collapsed all the way through. Regardless, we can use that pattern and your all-time 382 to say, well, maybe we eventually come back and retest that Gartley on what I like to call a looping type 2. Let's see. I don't care. I really don't. Look, if they've got liquidity, and I think the best way to look at that is if you're in the top 100 or 200 coins, there's enough action there for me. I'm not going to really be too concerned about it. But I would be looking at some of those lower coins. Here's another one. This is this fetch. Another slow development. Look at this puppy. All-time bat pattern. And this is just starting to move. 7.5 cents was the trigger low. You're well under the XA. You're only 10 cents right now. But that's got a big pattern. You have confirmation. Just taking its time. But 30 bars in this window is something to keep in mind, that you could be there in a 30-week hold. Take 30 weeks to do the development. And again, like a lot of these, your 30 weeks puts you into end of the year, December, and in some cases as much as January. But that's fine. That's fine. I mean, those are the big kind of patterns we want to follow and stay in front of. One or two more. Here's another privacy coin that I missed. I wanted to get to. It's Compound. Okay, Compound. Look, this thing is just skidding along here. On the weekly, after bottoming out at 26, you've now at 62. This thing was trading 850 at the all-time high. Not saying it's going back there, but what about a 382? I think that's enough for most people where even in this bounce, rebound, dead cat bounce weekly scenario, just pop your 382s and say, okay, is that enough of a target for me? 360, 350, trading 60 at the moment. Go to the 4-hour and look for signals. Look for 4-hour HSI and favor the bullish side. Yeah, this bat pattern looks like it's about cooked. Type 1, type 2 is over. So there's your type 1, right down the target one. Came all the way back down for a retest up to the hop level, but nothing. Did not get, you're just getting reactions. Reactions off the bearish patterns. This one didn't even come back for full retested target 2. So how do you know? Well, after you exhaust that second test and you continue to just kind of reaction, you start to break above the obvious resistance at above the hop level. Basically there you close above 65. That's what should turn it loose. That should get going. So mindful of that, expect to be waiting through to get to the other side, but you're there. And even if you wanted to wait for the breakout above 65, 68 even, really should start to launch this, and we'll see it in other coins. I think that's the other takeaway. You're going to see it in other areas. So let me, one or two more. Here's another one that's pulling back. This is the graph. I'm going to set up another opportunity. It's a type 1 off the deep crab, right off the low. You get down to 13 cents, and I think this is something I'll talk about on Thursday, is the type 2 return. How do we know when that's going to return or not? Target 1's the minimum that I'm looking for. It's 13.6 at the moment. You weigh that against your weekly. It was daily or weekly? I think this was a daily. The daily crab. Yep, daily crab. There you go. Just retesting prior week's range. But look, ever since that first confirmation in the zone at 9.5, 10 cents, that's really where we started talking about this. Going to give us another opportunity. Still in the zone below 14.8. And we're looking for target 1. Not really, not a big move, not a big call even. You get up to target 1 at 26. Even if it takes the rest of the year, it's a double. That's the kind of thing I expect, for these crypto that trading a bit sloppy, but that's fine. And what was the other one? I think Matic. Now, Matic's got an interesting daily pattern. It's a type 2 crab, deep crab, like a lot of these. This is either, if it's going to bust above the hop, maybe later I would look for the pause, but nothing that suggests HSI is confirming. Look, Harmonic Strength Index is still in the middle, vacillating, not doing much. Your RSI indicator, you did register a secondary reading that's below that prior reading. That's fine. But this is one on the daily and the weekly that, hey, if you could come back within this whole range and then maybe trigger down on an HSI lower, okay, this will set up that the big breakout will come above 103, 105. So any bearish pattern off the low, that's going to give you maybe a little pause. Not a biggie. I mean, not, if anything, it's a good sign because you're forming patterns. You're going to get some, some consolidation there. But your larger development, will come on that breakout. And again, another three. You haven't even reached a 382. 382 on Matic, it gets you to about 132. You're trading under a buck. And then let's take really quick. I want to look at stuff like Coinbase. That's doing very much doing the same kind of a thing on your daily time frame. Look at what we have here. It's a shark pattern on Coinbase. This would be also a great vehicle to follow along with for allocation back into the crypto space. But Coinbase is doing a type 2. There's the type 1 down to target 1. It blasted through on the retest, but no follow through and a nasty bearish candle. The number to focus on is about 95 bucks. $95, because if Coinbase can break out, this would fail. You'd fail the whole thing essentially above that trigger. That's like 93. Keep an eye on this. It's really squeezed in between. You do have confirmation. Typically, we would look for that as a type 2. Are we going to go all the way back down to 48? That remains to be seen. I'm really focused on what happens on HSI, what happens on Amplified. And we're going sideways where we should be rolling over. And that gives us some clues. Not that it's, not that I'm jumping on long or anything. In fact, that's probably a situation where I'd rather wait for that to break out. Quick question. Do I consider amplified divergences, or do I consider, or just HSI? I like to look for both of them. If I have both, I know that I'm going to at least get a reactive pause. I mean, Coinbase is showing us that on the daily. There's HSI overbought, and again, here is amplified in the extreme, linking up. Now, not necessarily ideal divergence there, but both those indicators are better than just one. Think of it that way. I mean, if I don't have any indicator, you might see a reaction, but that's usually all you get. Really tough not have a major move without some kind of indicator extreme. And that just came from trial and error. I mean, that I'll tell you where the indicator stuff came from. It was the NASDAQ bear market in 2002, when those beautiful bullish patterns that we had a year or two prior just kept failing because there was no indicator confirmation. So let's be aware of that. Really quick, let's update the diamonds and the major markets. Here we are, up another day. And recall what I said last week, okay? We are, forget all these smaller patterns. We're really dealing with the butterfly on the diamonds from there, okay? And it's either target 1 or target 2. I know I've got a few overlapping. I should clean that up, but it's really like this. Target 1 was at 330, and that's where we first started looking at Gartley potential bat pattern, but it blew through, and now target 2 is 345. That's where it goes for now. Also, take a look at your indicators. HSI is hitting now. Another example of why we want to look at both indicators. Amplified RSI is expanding in the overbought extreme. That's strong. In fact, I expect a day-over-day expansion, a serial expansion, until HSI can trigger. Can that come out in the next 2 or 3 days? Probably another, I don't know, 1,000 points higher, or 100 points higher to come up to target 2. It all depends on how this indicator rolls out. Does this roll out, or does it give us a complex structure, which would be the most bullish, like this? Maybe you get like a W formation and you continue to expand. That's the one we'll want to see where it is by Thursday. A lot there. I mean, there's a lot going on. We saw the markets try to sell off in the morning, and they bring it right back. Here's the SPY. Where's my SPY? I must have taken that off. Here's SPY. Same deal. Daily had some patterns. But last week we talked about why this would continue to expand. Now hitting your hop level at 425. You're above the hop. You're above the hop and you have no confirmation. What does that tell you? Ask yourself, is there confirmation there? Nope. Still going up to the overbought level. What about your amplified RSI? It's in the overbought. Has it rolled over? No, it hasn't even given you an inflection yet. And what's the possibility there? A couple more days up? Very well could happen. I mean, there's a lot going on there that suggests just a few more days. We said that last week. Absolutely. Still in reaction territory. This is still acting. Look, these are reactions. We're still dealing with oversold reactions. We have been saying that since the end of June, that this is oversold reactive move. Here's your all-time downtrend. Off the high. It's like this. Okay? What happens above here? You're still in reaction territory. If we get a bearish confirmation signal right above the line, all right, then I would say maybe we go into a pause, pullback. This is the ultimate test. This is the line everyone's looking at too. I mean, everybody's looking at this saying, is this going to break out? Let's tighten it up. It's just been a strong reaction. We've been saying, that end of the quarter reaction into earnings turned out to be something a little bit more. That's all right, but that's the kind of reaction we have talked about, and we're at this point almost across the board. Maybe not so much in crypto, but looking for the reaction up, then do we do the return back down or a reaction back down? This is the question I'll be asking myself over the next week, maybe 10 days, because what's going to happen here will dictate whether or not we get that return move back down for a target 2. It hasn't registered yet. Again, I always say take it in chunks, line by line, segment by segment, but we're not there yet. We have not registered. You would want to see something more like what happened in April, where you hit the hop level and then roll over. Like give me a 3-bar breakdown. So that reaction phase that started at the end of June, we're still in that. Don't get me wrong. I know everyone's like, well, what about the retest? What about the retest? No, we're still dealing with the reactive segment. Now, I need to look at really quick crude oil because talk about reactive segments. I think this is actually doing more of a reaction segment than we have, that I've been maybe emphasizing. Maybe I need to emphasize it a bit more. But look, crude oil, more so natural gas. And last week that was one of our 3 ideas. We'll get to that in a second. But look, we're up here ever since this retest and butterfly. We have had nothing, no progress, no challenge of the all-time 886, which is like that. And so your all-time 886 was 125. What can we expect from here? I think clearly it wants to go lower. It wants to break down a bit more before we can even consider anything else. And I didn't want to look at this, but it seems to be shaping up like this now, where not so much the 50% level, but I think we're going to go into a full 382 pullback on crude oil. The full 382 gets you to, let me get that right. I think it's $65. And I know it's crazy. That's crazy to think about, but this is what it looks like. And that would be 382 is our minimum harmonic move. And that's this kind of price action. Last week we did have, well, actually, no, it's now this week. We didn't have an official 3-bar yet. We want to violate the last 3 weeks. So there's your big thrust up to 125. But the last 3, 1, 2, 3, now we're violating that 3-bar move. That's around $98, $99. Last week's close did not close underneath that prior low, maybe right there at it. But getting rejected, that if this comes down to 65, that's probably where the next set of opportunities for crude oil come in. I've been saying for a long time, and probably nat gas has been the market in the energy space that we have nailed. 9 is resistance, 6 is support, and that doesn't change. There you go. There you go. Let's look at UNG. And this can ebb and flow between those two levels, but we're up here against this deep crab. It's a type 2 crab. Right there, this deep crab had a type 1 reaction. This is one of our 3 ideas. Hop level is 3071. Okay, you're 3050. You're right there right now. Keep an eye on this to get rejected on the daily. UNG. Of course, our big boil. I'm kind of strayed away from the boil. I think it's just been way too volatile for most people, I find. And, we look at that crab pattern on the daily. 124 is big resistance, and that's a type 2. That's not a type 1. It's a type 2 that had this crazy 4-day type 1 and then went right back. So we're trying to do, I would say, something like that. I'm less inclined now on the long slide than I was. In fact, the UNG setup was one of our 3 ideas from last week. Take a look at that. Really quick, something that did pop on my screen recently, that talk about depressed sectors. I was looking for the cannabis stock that caught my eye, and this is it. It's Trulieve, and it looks like, where'd it go? Here it is. Talk about a depressed sector. Trulieve did a huge run from 5 all the way to 50. Now it's back. It's another look. You see how these markets can do these major moves and still come all the way back and correct a substantial portion of that? Well, this off the all-time high to low is an exact 886. Look at that. So your 886, your standard retracement, is about $11. You go to a 382 off of that, yeah, it gets you up to the high 20s, 28. The software is picking off this. It's not the prettiest of bat patterns, but importantly, the hop level and HSI are both there at 1170. This will be a 3 ideas for gold members. I'm giving this out for you folks, but it's kind of like this. And some of these other sectors that have been destroyed, there's a few others I'm going to get into that have done stuff like this. Very early stages, but once they poke their head, another couple weeks, this stuff could be at the end of the basing phase and go into a clear type 1. We've got a lot of that in the market. Look, there's a lot of narratives that are super bearish. But the one narrative that I come back to, and I'll talk a little bit more about this tomorrow, is the fact that there is a substantial amount of cash that has been produced, released into the system over the last 2 or 3 years. And much like what happened in 2011, 2012, a lot of people were waiting and looking for that bear market correction. The quantitative easing supported the market. It supported abnormally high PE ratios and a lot of readings that, yeah, they don't happen under normal market conditions. We're still not under normal market conditions. Be aware of that. One other one that's This was a 3 ideas from a while ago, but they've got earnings coming up as Macy's. And there's a couple of dynamics going on here. Beautiful type 2 on your deep crab. Now you would think, okay, inflation's really bad and people don't have as much money to spend. Well, let's dismiss that and let's just say, what's going on here? It's a type 2 after a successful type 1 move, and then came back and is clearly stabilizing, has broken out. 1728 was your level, still is your level. Earnings coming in on the 23rd next week, and we're gunning for target 2 up around 24. I would say, that might be a good candidate for some call options. That might be something where, hey, give me the September 20s. Give me the October 20s. Something like that. And then ride it to 24. That's our target 2 objective. That's the kind of development you want to see on a retest and look strong. So tomorrow I'm going to get into some of those other sectors that I think are super depressed coming out of the hole with a ways to go. But for today, that's what I have. So again, thanks everybody. Happy to have everyone. We'll be back tomorrow at 12 noon. And on Thursday, we'll give away more books. So as always, go get them. You know what I'm thinking. Take your time on this, but take the next couple of weeks. Sharpen up your tools. Get on top of these markets because you want to prepare now for what's to come over the next 30, 60 days. If it's crypto, if it's other markets, we're in quite a spot where we can see more reactive upside behavior. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one. Come on back tomorrow.